Beautiful Maria del Mar Bonnet with El Cant de El Cels. Hiya, Kerry.
All right, Jimmy.
Golly, what do we do? Right, what do we do now? We talk, don't we?
Yeah, we
just
have a
act
chat.
natural. Just act natural.
That's it. And you'll do that cod cockney at me the whole time.
You came in. I just met him off the train this morning, right? And he just went, "I'm just walking down the Oxford Road now." The old Oxford Road? It's called Oxford Road, mate. Not the old.
Yeah, but to me it was quite an important road in my past because I used to go to a university up here years and years ago.
What year was that?
1980 something.
Right, okay.
So yeah, a long time ago, beginning of the 80s.
We were having a joke before, weren't we, about how UMIST had all the good gigs. So, well, back then, so as in all the science students had all the prog rock gigs.
Well, yeah, there lies the discussion as to who had the good gigs.
Yeah.
We had things like the Au Pairs and things like that.
The Au Pairs,
yeah. Pere Ubu.
But Pere Ubu, I love, yeah. But the Au Pairs, that'll be one for Mr. Riley, won't it? That Mark,
yeah.
Mark will know that stuff.
Absolutely.
Full show. Okay. Right, well, look, golly, right, me and you have been hanging out now for about the last year and a half, I guess. We met. Go on, would you like to explain how we met and where?
Yeah, I wanted to get in touch with you because being a filmmaker, that's what I do, and I'd finished a long-term project with the band Gorillaz, and the film came out, it was called Bananas, and I wanted to do something else that didn't take as long as that project, because that took about 7 or 8 years to complete, and it was one of those things. I've been off bird watching accidentally, as it were. I was away on the Scilly Isles with my wife on holiday, and I saw this bird in a tree. I had no idea what it was, and my wife and I were standing there looking at it going, "Oh, that's pretty. What is it? Dunno, not a sparrow." Anyway, within a few minutes we were barged out of the way by about 30 adults with binoculars, tripods, lenses, cameras, and going, "It's over here, it's over here." And I'm sort of going, what is it? What's going on? And we barged out of the way, go, "This is all a bit weird." And we went back to our hotel and met some people in the evening who explained that what had happened was a group of twitchers had been there because there was
descended on the area.
Were descended upon me and my missus, actually, and it was a blackpoll warbler, which was a very rare American migrant. Now, I didn't know anything about birds, but the long and the short of it was, I thought, oh, this could be a nice little half-minute comedy doc about the great British pastime of bird watching and how strange and perhaps ridiculous
how peculiar it is.
Yeah, and of course, it didn't take me long for picking up my camera to going out and filming and suddenly becoming more and more entranced with the things that they were watching, the creatures they were watching. And so I started looking at birds and realising what an effect they've had on so many people through time, whether it be musicians, writers, artists, scientists, conservationists. I thought it could be quite an interesting documentary, actually, to explore how they affect us.
It's so succinct in the title, really, the bird effect. You know, it's just imagining, even if you have not even a casual interest in what's in your garden, if you didn't hear those things tweeting in the morning, you would, imagine if it was just that silence without any birds. It would just affect humans, I think, in such a weird way. You just wouldn't be able to pin. It'd be weird, horrible. I can't imagine it because I'm a kind of, I'm into them, but yeah, it's just but it's become so much more than your little peculiar. Oh, isn't it? Aren't these sort of, aren't these English eccentrics who, will
Yeah, I mean, I also think you hit on something really interesting there in the fact that what would it be like without this bird song around us? And you know, I don't really remember bird song until I got interested in birds themselves.
Right.
And now I hear them everywhere, and I just think, you know, I must have been listening in mono for so many years of my life, if you know what I mean.
Right,
because
yeah.
they are everywhere around you. Any street you walk
Yes,
down,
yeah.
whether it's the Oxford Road
The Oxford.
or another street anywhere, the birds are everywhere. But
Yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, the film took me to explore a lot of work that conservationists are doing. Once I'd heard Margaret Atwood, the writer, talk about the problems for birds, and I was thinking, oh, that's not good news.
It's just widened out so much, hasn't it? I mean, I'm involved with it with you. Well, you know, we kind of hung out. I mean, the first time I met you was in a forest in Powys in Herefordshire.
When you had to say to your wife that you're going to meet a bloke called Kerry in a forest in Herefordshire.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, here we go. Is that what sort of dogging in a forest in Powys? What's all that about, Jimmy? You know what I mean? So, no. Yeah. Anyway, yes, we met, and you know, we got talking about the film and maybe possibility of maybe me doing. Well, I probably pushed myself forward to do the music because I've always had a dream or desire to do some kind of film soundtrack and stuff like that. So I started sending you bits and bobs, and we got to be really firm friends, man. And so we're also involved together. I'll tell you a little. We're going to play some more music. In fact, I might give something away here if that's okay. I'm going to play you, if I may, the demo which started off this whole thing. Kerry's film's called The Bird Effect, and I'm privileged to be part of it. And I did this demo of a piece of music, and it just seems to fit it. And I'll tell you more about what we've been up to after it. If you don't mind, I'm going to play it now. It's called The Bird Effect. Yeah, that's the bird effect. Hopefully, the main theme from the film. Go on, Kerry.
What I love about that, I mean, for me, when you were sending me ideas and thoughts, then suddenly this came through my mailbox, and I thought it was a really complete piece of music, but B, it sort of, when I put it together just with some random images of birds and things, there was a birdidity about the music.
Birdidity?
Yeah.
That's insane here, man. You've just made up a word, haven't you?
I've done it again.
But you've only gone and done it again, ain't
only down the Oxford Road. But there is something about it. There's something
it's
about
got
the
that
movement.
Yes, the movement and stuff in it, and well, I'm well chuffed with it,
And
that's as far as big, as blowing trumpets are going now.
But when I heard that, I really knew. I mean, I'd always known anyway by the nature of how our relationship had developed that it was going to work in one way or another. And when that came through the mailbox, I just knew this was perfect. And it sort of really fitted in. I think then we talked about it, because it's always hard to know how people want to handle a relationship when you're doing things creatively. And from the film I developed with some friends of mine at a company called Good Pilot, Chris Aldhouse and his team, this idea to help conservation called Ghosts of Gone Birds.
This is another strand now, isn't it? Another avenue that's opened up, which is fascinating. Go on.
Well, that's right. It was an idea that we had to sort of breathe life back into extinct species and to raise awareness about the problems of extinction. So we approached it, and also this was born out of the thought that there's an NGO called BirdLife International, and they are in charge of looking after the birds across the world.
Yeah.
And they have this program called the Preventing Extinctions program, run by Jim Lawrence. And I wanted to do something to support that, and so did Chris, and so did you, and so did everyone who got involved, and spread the word that there's an awful lot of birds who've got trouble in the world at the moment and need help. And we wanted to do something that wasn't sort of A, shaking cans and begging for money, and B, not being all worthy. So we thought creatively it would be great to get artists to take an extinct species, to come up with a representation of them, and to breathe life back into them. And consequently, we've got all sorts of people from Sir Peter Blake through to Rob Ryan, through to Billy Childish, through to Jamie Hewlett, through to Ollie and Susie. The list goes on. We've got about 70 artists on board.
Ralph Steadman, I mean, you exhibited it last week in Liverpool at the School of Art and Design, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the great thing about that was for us, it's this idea that we're building a creative army for conservation. But for me, one of the highlights of that whole experience was getting you to come along, and this was your suggestion as well, to play live with an orchestra.
Well, that was. I'm having a ball with it. It's really, it's fascinating. It's fantastic. I got some great players from the Royal Northern School of Music in Manchester. But by the way, I'm not a pop composer anymore. I write pieces now, not tracks.
He's got very nice round glasses on as well.
So one is a composer now, not just a rock musician. Okay, just for the clear it up.
Absolutely, clear.
So I've got loads of players from the Royal Northern. It's a legendary place anyway. Great school, and they very kindly played a string quartet and trombones and trumpets and baritone saxes and pianos, and there was lots of talks about conservation, and obviously all the great artwork was there last week in the pool, and then we rounded it up with an 11-minute version of what you've just heard. So it's
with the film behind it,
and with the film, with the film from you behind it, and but it's just a really interesting way, isn't it, of highlighting, like you said, it's not too worthy, not too. It's not too dry. It's very. I mean,
how does it feel to you, having come up with sort of the demo, and then suddenly find yourself in this situation where you've got all these musicians?
We just keep chuckling, don't we? Where it's taking us, just our sort of interest in nature and everything, and
I loved it at the end of the night when there was you, me, and a couple of the other musicians all rolling up the cables and the wires and everything ourselves, and it's